reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is the Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
What's up, everybody? It's the Horror Deconstruction. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, but most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hit that thumbs up. Let people know you listen to the show with your host, Komp, and
D.
Today's film is
Midnight 2021.
Midnight 2021. A serial killer ruthlessly hunts down a deaf woman through the streets of South Korea after she witnesses his brutal crime. Directed and written by Oh Sung Kwang, starring Wee Ha Jun, Park Hoon, and Ki Joo Jin. So, why did I pick Midnight, Thea?
I think you picked it because it's fun. I actually don't know why you picked it.
Yeah, I picked it because I saw the trailer and I was like, ooh, a Korean horror movie. For some reason, I thought it was a Japanese horror movie with Korean actors back then.
I had it written down Japanese because that was what you told me.
Yeah, I guess I'm racist.
I was like,
racist.
Oh, Korean. Cool.
No, because I knew the actor was Korean because he's the gentleman from
Squid Game.
He was the
he's
cop character.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed he'll be back for season 2. He'd wait the whole year swimming. Spoilers for Squid Games, but I'm sure everybody saw that movie. Everybody saw that show. Great show. So yeah, Midnight is about this young woman who is, God forbid you can say deaf or hearing impaired. I have no, or magically, whatever they label people nowadays. But I was actually very surprised at some of because I do not live in a deaf world. They had such materials like for drivers where they have this little sound device that lets you know
like
when
the sense
traffic
detector
is
that sort of tells you how close or how loud something is coming.
And I was like watching, going, "Damn, that's cool!" Like I didn't even think about it. Like it's
and the ones in their house, like the lights in their house.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Sort
She
of
even
detect.
had that little sound. But a classic one is a sound activated little toy with a little monkey with a symbol. I don't know if it was a monkey, some sort of animal with symbols.
Yeah.
So this young actress, I believe, is Ki Joo Jin. She's playing Kyung Mi. She's a young actress that works for this corporation. I don't know actually what they do, but she deals with like customer service stuff.
It's like a call center, and she deals with the hearing impaired clients.
And there's a very funny scene where a client is pissed off and basically giving her a big F you, and she gives it back because, I mean, I think that's a pretty universal gesture, right? That you can't give a finger. Her boss sees that. He goes, "What's that?" He goes, "No, that means something else." Like they say. So yeah, she's there. We see her a little bit of difficulties with dealing with sexual harassment at the job. Also, when they have to do these, because a lot of that is in Asian companies in Japan and Korea. Obviously, I'm sure in America too. Obviously, where you go to meet like your big bosses and you're supposed to entertain your bosses, and that's the only way they'll give money to your corporation. And all these guys are saying foul shit about her because she's deaf, but like not like she can read, lips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty fascinating movie. A movie Danny and I had seen before was called Hush, which is essentially the same sort of film, but that takes place only in one location. And I believe that this is equivalent to that. I think it's a little bit better of a sort of a deaf woman in peril type of horror film. Although this is more of a thriller.
It felt like a more complex. This felt like a more complex premise than Hush to me. Yeah.
But it's very clean and simple. It's super clean, super simple, very matter of fact of what you see on screen. There's no hidden sort of surprises or anything like that. It's all about the thrill. And I will say that Korean produced cinema is some of the best thriller films you will ever see. If you've seen, I've seen The Devil. I saw The Devil or The Chaser, or there's a great film that nobody really talks about that's actually like probably one of the better sort of X-Men films, even though it's not X-Men. It's called The Witch, and it's on Netflix. Thea, see that movie, see The Witch. The sequel is coming out after, I think, 3 years on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but it's a Korean film about a girl who can use psychokinetic powers. But it's incredible. It's one of the best films I've seen. But back to this film. The performances, like most Korean movies that I've seen, like I can't say that I've seen, and I think it's a language barrier. Do you know what I mean? Like because I can't speak Korean. Do you ever watch? Right. You ever watch a foreign film and you go like, "Hey, that's a bad actor," but you can't tell because they have, they're speaking in a different language. Like, I guess you can see if somebody's overacting, right?
Yeah, you can tell from expression and body language and that kind of thing. That those things never really change.
Yeah. But I think everybody's pretty solid in this movie, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great cast. I think they did a really good job.
Tell me a little bit about Kyung Mi, the main character, the young lady.
She is. I mean, you've covered most of.
Yeah, I guess.
Again, it's so simple that
it's
they
not
don't really give you
movie.
much more to go on. I like that they also give them a very simple, straightforward, like clear want for the end, which is her and her mom went to like go to this island for a vacation, and they have this sort of end point that we know we're getting towards if they survive. Yeah, I don't know. Just everything is so dead simple that it just kind of works. But I like that she has a lot of attitude. We get to see that very quickly. And she's not totally helpless as like our sort of protagonist. There are moments where I was like a little frustrated, where I was like, I feel like you didn't have to wait for him to intervene.
The frustrating
thing about the
frustrating thing about this film is that nobody directly texts the cops. Nobody calls the cops. Everybody's busy, going crazy. Because I think in real time, do you know what I mean? I guess they're treating the film like it's going on in real time, where like you're too panicked to call the cops, which I think is the fucking opposite of what would happen. Yeah. And this is a deaf woman who has machines in her car that can detect sound. I'm pretty sure she would be aware of texting the police is the same. You can text the cops. They have that. I assume they have that in Korea if they have material to keep your fucking car, aware of sounds and stuff like that.
Well, and there's also like speech to text functions on everything, and I'm sure there are apps that do that for people.
Although she can't talk apparently in the film, really.
Or sorry, not speech to text to speech. It's the other way, which is like they can just play it what they're saying for people.
So, but we totally understand in the cinematic realm you need that for the film to continue because the movie would have been done in about half an hour. So we understand that. But it's still frustrating and maddening when you see that in a movie and you're like, what the fuck's going on? This isn't realistic enough. But whatever, it's still entertaining.
I know. You have to suspend disbelief.
I believe her. I'm trying to see who played her mother. Her mother was very I believed her as her mother. Like I literally would think that's actually her mother in real life because how well that lady acted.
Gil Hae-yoon?
Is that killing you? She's so believable as her mom, but there's so many. I guess Korea is pretty much safe, right? I assume it's like a more safer area than saying like where you or I live, where like you drop your mom off in the darkness at like a in a block and say
at literally midnight. Yeah,
I'm gonna go park over here in Carajo land.
I'm gonna go park in this abandoned parking lot.
Right in Carajo.
Meet you outside.
Yeah.
I was like, why wouldn't you just both go?
Yeah. Why don't you just both park at the same time? Like it makes sense to do that to safety in numbers, and then also like when they're in the police station and the cop brother is attacking Do-shik and like. He doesn't like automatically drop the knife and be like, this is the guy. I understand he's like going crazy from what's happening. Yeah. But he's like, this is the guy who just said he just threatened me. It's not like that. They don't check Do-shik's ID. He was a person that in the beginning of the film he found the dead body and actually reported it and blamed it on those three guys that were in the car
and then disappeared.
In the beginning. Yeah, do they not take your information from being a fucking
literally
witness for a murder?
Although I guess they probably didn't. He didn't stay, right? So they didn't get his information, probably.
Bizarre, but then wouldn't that raise your hackles to be like, hey, this fucking guy just like
absolutely? But unless you have unless you have one of the cops that met him there,
I will say they
wouldn't know him.
It was nice to see Wee Ha-jun emote in this because he is very deadpanned. I like this character in Squid Game. But he's playing Do-shik, this very maniacal, super evil kind of character.
Super manipulative, it's actually like that was very effective, like how sort of how he just sort of completely flips his character immediately.
Yeah, Korean cinema is much like Stephen King in the fact that they make the most despicable villains that you can fucking hate. Like they really know how to make like pieces of shit characters. Like they really know how to make bastards that you motherfucker. And he does a great job at playing the scumbag that's like, he's a killer. I guess he kills men and women. I think he focuses on women, but he did kill that one guy, I guess, to take his van in the beginning of the movie. My guarantees with South Korean cinema is you will always cry. And they usually have a very depressing ending, right? I will say that I was incredible spoilers from here on out. I guess super spoilers. We don't want to spoil it. I'm saying watch the movie. I give it a high rating for this movie.
Absolutely.
But stop and then watch the movie and then listen to the rest of this episode. It's not going to be long after this. But I will say I was super surprised at the happy ending. I was almost expecting those shit to come out of the water and attack them on the beach. Because Korean movies are always so the most depressing Korean film I've ever seen is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Is a movie that, on the level of Requiem for a Dream, where it's a fantastic movie, but I will never watch it again because I will be fucking bummed out. It bums me out. It's part of the Old Boy trilogy, so it's like Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. But Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Hufa. That has the most depressing ending, and usually Korean movies always do that. Fucking I Saw the Devil has a depressing ending. The Chaser has all those movies always fucking, even Train to Busan, even though it's a happy ending, it's a depressing ending. Yeah. This, I was shocked that it was a happy ending. It was
nice.
It was nice. Because I was like, they only shot when they shot him like Joe Schick at the end, the leg at the end. I was like, you better hope that bullet crawls up his ass and out of his brain.
Oh my god, I know.
I don't. But
then they were just like, nope, we're gonna keep shooting.
Because in an American film, he'll be like, haha, and then he'll break out in the sequel and wreak havoc and shit.
I know. But he would his body would like disappear when they were tending to the victims or something. Yeah.
And I will say this: I was brought to near tears.
Were you?
Plenty of times, yeah, because of her mother caring for her, not wanting her child, and then the brother being like, his sister, and then that I was pissed at the cop for like, and I thought about this when I was watching it. The brother trying to find his sister over her life. What would you do in that situation?
Brutal. Well, I think I was like, why would you trust him?
You wouldn't, but you don't know at the moment, I guess, because he's a cop.
But it's also like you lose if you already have the location in your phone, you lose 30 seconds by tackling him.
And he didn't call cops. Do you know what I mean?
No,
he's a fucking cop.
He could have called while he was running.
Obviously, yeah. And the one thing that really got to me, like it punched me in the gut, is when she's begging for her life, Kyung Mi. That's one of the best acting I've ever seen ever.
That was very good.
Because it's brutal. It's like how many young people die nowadays and they don't see a future, Yeah. And it's like just that part where she kind of like encapsulates all everything that a young person that has no future and they died, even people like us who are, you're not old, but I'm old, but like people who have lived a life, and then you're just like, oh shit, like it makes you like wake up and be like, wow, there really is, no promise of anything. And just Ki Jung Jin's like, I don't even know. I assume that maybe she's not deaf, or she is deaf in real life. I don't know.
She isn't. I looked up while I was watching just because.
But her, like, that scene was so moving of what she did, and then like obviously Do Shik. I almost believe it would have moved Do Shik even just a little bit, but he's like a over the top villain. But I like that performance alone was incredible. Just for this whole movie, just to see that one scene was incredible. Is there anything that didn't work for you in the film besides like the over the top kind of dumbness which needs to move the script along?
No, I think honestly, there's a suspension of disbelief, but I think it's so fun and fast that you don't question it very much while you're watching, because it's just enjoyable.
It actually moved very fast for me. I thought usually Korean movies are usually like 2 hours long in Korea and stuff like that. It's like an hour and 48 minutes or something, 49 minutes. Yeah. And it moved quick to the point where I was like, wow, this is even faster than I thought it would be. I thought there would be like, drawing out of stuff, but it doesn't. It's like an instant. They're great. Korean movies are great for chase scenes and stuff like that. Yeah. And the part that the cop, like the guy revealed himself to the cop so early into the film and shit, I thought like, oh, why is this taking? I'd be like, wow, this is quick. So it's totally just a joyous second to watch it. It's so fun. It's a sleek, it's beautiful direction. It's lit beautifully. The main characters are so handsome and good looking. They're pretty and handsome and shit like that. It's good acting. It's just a really good, solid Korean thriller film. And like, I have yet to see a totally horrible Korean horror movie. This is a thriller movie, really. But this is another one to put up there where it's just like, shit, it's cool. I knew once I saw the premise of the trailer, I was like, oh, this has got to be good. And it turned out to be good.
It's one of those premises that's like, okay, yes. Like, it just works.
Like it's been done before, but under like a Korean lens, it's really good. Like it's done. It's just really
very well executed, and it's a cool window into like into the world of those characters.
Absolutely,
very
like
fast.
I wasn't aware of any of that like stuff that deaf people use, like material stuff, because it's not part of my life. But it was nice to see that. It's interesting to see that and learn something. And I wonder, when they go into writing this film, do they know that ahead of time, and then they go, okay, I'll write about that because that's interesting, or do they learn about that in the process of learning of deaf characters and deaf lifestyle and stuff like that, or hearing impaired lifestyles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a solid movie. It's a great date movie. It's a great just watch it on yourself movie. But it's all in all, I think it's a great, solid little Korean thriller. So, Thea, what rating would you give Midnight 2021?
I'm gonna give it 8.5 out of 10. Tripping over the heel of your victim while you're chasing another victim.
How great was that shot with that?
It was great.
That was almost iconic, where that shoe just comes out of the darkness.
Yeah.
She could have just went to her mom and be like, look over here, but then she would have really screwed her mom. I also too would give it an 8 out of 10. Ooh, this is tough. Oh, being a drunk old man and getting pissed off at young men who do not respect their elders. And with that,
I was kind of hoping he would figure in later, but
I too. It would have been funny if the drunk old man hit him over the head with a bottle of beer. Now that's better,
that's
right? You
right.
like that? So with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Stars.